Okay, so Rob's asked me to spend some time with you and go through what we termed virtual motivation. So I changed the tagline, nobody's perfect, but a motivated team can be. And what makes the perfect team? There was some research done by Google. They looked at 180 of their best teams and 250 separate team attributes. So this was a very big, a mega data mining exercise they did back in 2012. It's called Project Aristotle. And they came up with 5 key aspects that made the perfect team. And the first one is dependability. So when you bring a team together, what makes it perfect is there's a sense of dependability within that team. The second one is the team's got structure and clarity. There's a deep sense of meaning. In other words, everybody that's involved in that team, they have a sense of purpose, a sense of meaning about what the team's been brought together for. People need to feel that they can make an impact. And that actually, it's very important nowadays, everybody feels psychologically safe within that team. In other words, they're not going to be put down, they're going to be allowed to thrive. And actually, at the center of all that, if you actually look at the key context, what makes the perfect team, it's motivation. Everybody that's in that team feels motivated to be a part of that team. So essentially, what is motivation? First question. It's also called in HR terms, employee engagement. But I love the Peter Drucker quote. We really know nothing about motivation. All we can do is write books about it. And I actually came across that 25 years ago, and it just had, I don't know, just made me chuckle. But people that are in the field of motivation obviously take umbrage at that. But let's pass that by. Now, motivation is something that goes on inside people. So what is it actually about? If you look at the dictionary definition, it's something inside, it's a willingness to do things, an inward prompting. But it can also be external. People can be motivated by being induced to do things. But essentially it comes from the Latin movere, which is the quality of bringing about or causing or initiating things. And so the aim in this half an hour is that you each walk away with an idea on how to improve motivation, or in modern parlance, employee engagement. Is that a fair enough remit? Any nods in the audience? Yeah? Okay. So this really is a whistle-stop tour through the theory of motivation. I mean, we could actually talk all day on this, but we've got probably about 5 minutes to take a whistle-stop tour through this. But before we do that, think of 3 people you admire and respect. And what I'd like you to do is each of you write down their initials. So has everybody got pen and paper? Write down the initials of 3 people you admire and respect. I remember a guy years ago, his initials will be RN, Ralph Nichols. I really admire and respect that guy. Another guy, the initials that go down would be NR. I really admire and respect that person. So any nods? Have everybody got 3 people in mind? 3 sets of initials? A few nods there. Right, what are the qualities that they've got? What are the behaviors that they've got? What's the legacy that they've left? Why were they important to you? And just start writing down some of the traits and the characters and the characteristics and the things that made you respect and admire them. Just give you 30 seconds on that. Give you some ideas. These are the ones that I came with. They're quite often, these are traits that you want in yourself. So the ones that I came up with was these people had tremendous enthusiasm. They had abundant energy. They were very positive. So I see that in other people with 60. The real inner secret to this is actually, I want that. I want that tremendous enthusiasm. I want that abundant energy. I want that positive outlook. They were winners. They set a good example. They were role models. They had drive, determination, and a steely will. So has everybody got some traits written down? Now, those traits do actually correlate to the theory of motivation, which you'll see shortly. So let's have a look at this. The theory, level 1. At the highest level, and this goes back to some research done by David McClellan back in the 60s and 70s, he saw that there was a triad of achievement, power, and affiliation. People are motivated by a sense of achievement, a sense of power, or a sense of affiliation at a primary level. The truth will be that 2 of those 3 axes will be particular to each person. It could be achievement and power, or power and affiliation, whichever way you want to combine those. At the highest level, the highest context, people are motivated by love or hate, pleasure or pain, attraction or aversion. Sometimes it's that moving away from things that motivates people. And we haven't got the time, but got a fantastic story around that. If you want to know about it earlier, it's called the rusty nail analogy, and I can tell that story later if you want me to. So that's level 1. Level 2, and this is my own theory, is again the 3 axes. To the right, you've got independence and risk. To the left, you've got security and completeness. And to the bottom, you've got meaning, relationship. And you can see that that's correlated to power, achievement, and affiliation, which was the McClellan theory. These slides will all be available, so you don't have to write copious notes unless you might. If you've got a photographic memory, you've probably got them already, but I can send the slides out a little bit later. So let's go down another level. And this is where we tie into vision. Man on the moon by the end of the decade. It's a where and when type motivation. Why are we doing this? Who have we got to get involved? That's the deep, meaningful, purposeful motivation. And then there's strategic bit, the people who like to dot the I's and cross the T's, the people who want to complete things and finish things. They're very motivated by the detail and the process of making things happen. Go down another level. There's actually a baker's dozen. This goes back to the trait analysis of Allport and Murray. There's a baker's dozen there that when you actually really start to create a conversation with people, they will tell you they're motivated by something, but quite often there's these deeper senses of why they really want to do something or why it's important to them. Vanity, envy, love, sex, friendship, financial gain. These are the real reasons. You know, you're starting to tease down now to what's called tearing down through getting away from that window dressing into the real reality of why people do things. And driving it all is the sense of purpose. What's your purpose? And I just saw this about 20 years ago, the Far Side cartoon. Edgar finally finds his purpose. It was stuck down the back of the sofa, but he finds his purpose finally, so he really knows what's motivating him. But that, as you know, and we had Barry last month doing the session on purpose. That is actually a whole nother conversation, way beyond the remit of how much time we got today. So that's a quick cycle through the theory. We're now going to go to the breakout rooms. So Rob's going to do this for us and put us all into breakout rooms, one-on-one, and there's going to be 3 questions. Ask yourself, and then ask who you meet in the breakout room, what motivates you? And you'll probably get the window dressing answer. Then you say, no, what really motivates you? And they'll probably give you something further down in the hierarchy of the theory. And then you turn around and say, no, come on, really, please, be totally honest. What really at your core motivates you? So you've now got 10 minutes in your breakout rooms. So some feedback, some highlights.
Do you have something to share?
Yeah, I'll come in. Yeah, firstly, we had a sound issue. I was with Martin, but he was. I was speaking, and he was writing in the chat, which is really useful. But the thing that motivates me now, a lot of you won't know, I'm an identical twin. So growing up, it was incredibly competitive. If my brother got down to a 3 handicap, I had to get down to a 2. So actually, it was envy. Envy is the thing that really drives me, motivates me, and gets me work until midnight, 2, 3 in the morning, because it's that I want that recognition. I want now those projects and those clients where, you know what, we did that as a team. And having worked at some of the biggest agencies in London, I know we can do it. So yeah, so for me it was envy. I know it's one of the deadly sins, but actually I believe that that is a positive in terms of driving through to try and achieve through recognition and sort of almost being a bit jealous of other people's success because of, you know, reputations they have, good exposure, and everything else like that. So yeah.
Okay, that's brilliant, Lawrence, because that's the first time anyone has ever admitted to me that they're driven by envy. I've always had that baker's dozen up there, and I've always had vanity and envy there, and everybody always pussyfoots around it. And there you go. You're the first person that's ever been honest to turn around and said, yes, I'm motivated by envy. So thank you very much.
That's right.
So what can you do with this? Well, what you can do is you can actually create your own perfect teams map. So we actually do have an inner circle offer. It's up on the London Leaders website. And for the purpose of the COVID crisis, we've actually made an offer here that anybody can do their own profile for free. So the principal of the business can do their own profile. That's worth £42. And then you can profile up to 12 members of your team for £30 each. So that's the offer from London Leaders and Perfect Teams. And what will happen if you do that is you will be able to create your own perfect teams map, and it'll give you an insight into what the key motives are of each of the team members. And it will also tell you how to communicate best with them. So you do get a 2-for-1 by doing this process. So the process, if you're actually interested in that, I've taken up Rob on the inner circle offer, is to express your interest. All you're going to do is send an email to interested@perfectteams.co.uk. Do your own free profile, because we'll send you a link. Then you simply sign up your team and book the follow-up consultation. And so that's the inner circle offer for anybody that's associated with London Leaders right now. Is that clear? Any questions before we move on? Now, you probably won't get a map like that, but if you had a company of 100 people, statistically, that's the distribution that you would get across the population. And each of those numbers is associated with key motives and key characteristics. So that gives you an idea of what you will get from as an output. And the key motives for each of those characters are in the following table. So each of those characters, so I'm a number 12, I'm actually motivated by power and independence. I always ask the questions when and what. Now, level 4 and level 5, this is where you need to create the conversation with your employees or your team members. 4 and 5, the words that are in there are representative. Just happens that I'm a number 12 and I am driven by self-sufficiency, and my purpose is to create. Rob, who sits at number 3, he's about power and risk, where and who. He often talks about financial gain, and he definitely likes to win. So I know that those were his motivations. So just remember that 4 and 5 are representatives, and that's where you need to create the deeper conversation. But by doing your own perfect teams map in your team, you will find out what L1, L2, and L3 are as key motives for each of the individuals. And people that have done the process before, they say they love the simplicity. The second one there, somebody said to me, Neil, are you a psychologist? And I went, no, Shelley. She said, what are you in? Then I said, well, I'm an engineer. And she kind of mused on that for about 90 seconds. She said, oh, it'll probably work then. And then before lockdown, before this world changed, I did actually do a front of house presentation with one of the London Leaders clients, and Maze Point, run by James Noble, and his sales director, Steve, said, finally, a theory I actually understand. So it is designed to be simple, and it is designed to be understandable, and you will find out about people's key motives. So there's the contact details, and I will make the slide pack available for Rob to distribute.